that I went from a very shy girl, and you can too, an introvert, someone who thinks that she doesn't have enough, constantly has to learn and seek externally, to someone who is self validated without pride, can still have that humility of person, can still serve, is still willing to see others as better than me, in that I am willing to help you, be submissive to you, always extend a hand, and be super confident and in my integrity, because I don't think that we balance those two enough. Have you ever felt like life is just passing you by? No matter what you do or how much effort you put into a relationship, you're underappreciated or you're just feeling stuck. What if I told you that the reason you feel it so difficult, or that you believe that you're not enough, isn't because that's true, but because you've been programmed to believe that you don't deserve ease? If you look around at the world that we live in, there is constant messaging that we need to get something that we don't yet have. Like a little hamster wheel, we have to keep doing more, be in our masculine, be in survival mode, instead of surrender. I am already protected and supported as I am. We're feeling incomplete rather than whole and perfect. You are already so supported, so loved, and you have to do nothing other than accept and receive in order to be that way. And I'm going to tell you in this video all about what that means. On the internet, we love talking about lucky girl syndrome, but I'm here to introduce to you the concept of blessed girl. We are not lucky. There is always a correlation in harmony and order. When you acknowledge that you've been given gifts by the Creator, that is when you recognize your purpose and your mission. But the only way is about self-worth, not luck, but value that is inherent to you because you were born. I myself did not see my blessings for such a long time. I did not know what I could give the world, but in recognizing my own self-worth, hand in hand was providing service to others, which is the only way the world goes round. In this video, you're going to learn about why low self-worth blocks your blessings. Of course, the feminine energy shift that makes you a blessed girl. We're also going to look at 5 very practical blessed girl habits to rebuild self-worth. And if you stay until the end, you'll hear the real secret to feminine magnetism. This is From Invisible to Irresistible: Blessed Girl Habits to Build Unshakable Self-Worth. Welcome, where today is the first, last, only, and best day of our entire lives. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to come along this journey with me of becoming a woman of virtue and vitality. I am so excited that you're here. So first, why low self-worth blocks your blessings. I've told you in many other videos how the stories we tell is the narrative that we create around us in our world. So when you believe you're unworthy, you reject opportunity. You subconsciously reject good things that were meant for you. When they're knocking on your door, you don't even go to open it. For example, if you're at a bar with your friends and there is a guy there who wants to speak with you, if you think, oh, he's too attractive for me, you're never going to engage in conversation. The same at a networking event. If you don't believe that your product is good enough, or that your business is going to create real change in the world and a real lasting impact and legacy, then there's no chance you're going to have the confidence to go up to other people who could make that a reality with you. And if you're not capable of speaking about yourself and selling yourself from this confident point of view, how are you ever going to build lasting abundance and lasting money, which is only a tool to even more of what this world has to offer us? Too many of us are stuck in the concept that this that I did is enough, or I tried a lot today, or I was very creative. When looking back, you haven't actually moved the needle in your business. So be realistic with yourself. Am I rejecting opportunities for love and money and abundance in my own life by thinking that I'm not enough? It's a lie. If you're anything like I used to be, you could be a people pleaser or an overgiver, and you tend to put others' needs before your own, constantly needing another person to validate your own existence. What this means is we're putting our own value and worth in the hands of other people, no matter what their mood is, what their perception is, and what they usually are like. We're saying that it's okay for them to define our worth. What this looks like in a social situation is I find out exactly what that person likes and makes them smile, and I try to chameleon into and shapeshift into the kind of person that they would smile about or laugh with. How I feel pleased about myself is if you feel pleased about me. Rather than rooting my worth in the creator who gave me life and in my own self trust and self belief, I am putting that in other people's perceptions of me, which means I am so readily available for self deceit and self abandon. It is very easy to be hurt when I don't have my protective shield around me by acknowledging my own worth first. When I pull back my energy from other people and I decide that it is up to me to acknowledge my own worth and it is not up to me to have to do more things for it to be validated, I choose to stop chasing. That is what our energy is doing. If we're constantly chasing other people, the natural instinct is for them to pull away or to run away. When we're in chase mode and constantly going after other people, it doesn't allow us to receive and to lay back and to help them come to us. An example of this is pandering to other people. If, say, last minute you had to cancel plans and they silence you out and ice you out, what meaning do you put to that attitude? Do you think, okay, they're just having a bad day, they're incredibly busy, and they'll get back to me when they do? Or to that attitude, do you attach the meaning that they took offense by your last minute cancellation? If so, do you feel that you need to go after them to make everything okay again? Do you go after them and chase them and say, hey, really sorry to have dropped you last minute, as I explained before? You over explain, you overgive. This could go hand in hand with a feeling of anxiousness, whereas they might be playing the avoidant role because you could feel that you need to co regulate with that person and make sure that they're okay for you to be okay. When we stop being in chase mode, this allows for our feminine magnetism to open up again because we can give them the week that they needed to get back to us in text and say, hey, I really didn't appreciate that last minute cancellation, but it's blown over now and we can do this instead. What do you think? That is so much better than over explaining ourselves constantly. It's good and secure for you to decide that you are okay because you made the decision that was right for you, and they will also speak up and say what they need in their own time. As I mentioned, that anxious attachment, it comes along with toxic shame. Now, shame is a feeling that I am not a good person, whereas guilt is the feeling that what I did wasn't good. So, that separation and that detachment from the action versus your inherent worth is incredibly necessary. I urge you to pay more attention to your thoughts and see what meaning you're attaching to every story that is occurring in your external world, because that is what's going to drive your action. When you have this toxic shame and you're stuck in thoughts of anxiety, you're thinking, I'm not a good person. Therefore, you don't trust that what decisions you make are the most correct for you and all of those involved. So it puts you immediately in seeking validation rather than resting in the knowledge that you are already validated. What I'm urging you to do is to expect that validation is already there, because what you expect is what will happen. Ultimately, low self worth blocks your blessings because the truth is that you don't get what you want, you get what you believe you deserve. There's that famous quote in The Perks of Being a Wallflower that I absolutely love. You accept the love you think you deserve. We aren't getting what we want, but we are always getting what we need. And sometimes we don't even know what that is. So, your job and inner work is all about finding out what that is in order to put it into words faster and waste less energy and less time and less life. So, the feminine energy shift that makes you a blessed girl is being able to simply receive and not have to do all the time, which is masculine. Feminine energy is receptive, it does not chase. You simply have to give yourself the permission to let go of the story that what you're believing is true. If it is forcing you to go against your natural biology as a woman, and it's forcing you to take action and close the gap between a relationship when that person is clearly needing space, lay back. Be more passive. What would happen if you told a different story? What would happen if you really thought that you deserve joy, ease, peace, naturally occurring always? Why don't you shift from the area of anxiety, shame, and chasing and sit in that joy and love and peace and see how you feel for a moment before you take action? That is the key to receiving your blessings rather than overworking yourself for them. This is how high value and radiant women seem to effortlessly attract love and admiration and respect. They know that they are blessed, and they know that it is their responsibility, which is the ability to respond, in sharing those gifts with other people and in being of service to as many other people in the world as possible while they are here. We have an urgency that is different to the one when we were in survival mode, because it's an urgency to create as much as possible. It is an urgency to get into self actualization as quickly as possible, because we realize that today is indeed the first, last, only, and best day of our entire lives, and we wouldn't want to do anything else. So fear is no longer driving that urgency. Now it's love, it's faith. Now we're going to talk about the 5 blessed girl habits to rebuild self-worth, which is vital, and you need to be present for every part of the process. This is going to take everything you have, and it is so worth it. First and foremost, you want to speak to yourself like you're already worthy, you're already deserving, and you're already blessed. If you're anything like I used to be, you're going to stop calling yourself too much, too needy, or even behind in life. Start asking those thoughts when they come up and when you notice them, which is the key. Is that true? As soon as you pause and ask, is that true? You're now capable to change. And that, I'm telling you, is most of the work. Start telling yourself a different story. I deserve more. I am a daughter of the Creator. I am here for a purpose. Focus on something that you love and turn your hands towards a task, because getting into your body is the key to getting out of your head. So any anxious thoughts, anything like that, have a look at my other video, 10 Habits to Be More Feminine, because that really brings you back into the present moment of your feminine reality, your feminine biology, because you can look at what you're already creating rather than what you think you're not doing well enough in. Second, we're going to acknowledge the soft power of saying less. Remember in that example when I was telling you about over explaining yourself and telling your friend why it is and what you chose? They don't want to hear any of that. That only perpetuates the drama, and that only perpetuates the hurt, actually. The core of over explaining is a fear of not being enough. Because you think you're not enough, you're creating a longer story around it, and you're having to tell them what it is that you thought and felt in order to eventually perhaps get their validation and get their sincerity and their solace and their understanding. But you're not going to get that from somebody who feels that they need space. As I've shared in previous videos, one of the best things you can do is to pause before responding. If you just pause for one moment and you see what the external world has to offer, you will start to detach from the reality that you actually inherently believe, as I used to, that in order for everything in my external world to keep going the way that it is, I have to speak right now. I have to do this right now. You actually don't. You're choosing every step of how you're acting and what you're saying, even what you're thinking. So if you do pause before responding, most likely your company will have a moment to reflect on the feeling that's being shared between you, and they may in fact say something more that may add to the conversation rather than take away from it. That's also how pausing helps. You can recognize what was about to come out of my mouth. What tone was I going to say that in? Was it helpful? Would it add to our conversation, and would it bring us more peace? Silence ultimately works for you as a feminine and magnetic woman who's becoming this irresistible and blessed girl, because you see that everything in life has already supported you to come to this moment. And you rest back in the fact that it's all happening for you rather than to you. That moment of pause is actually all you need. The third part of becoming this blessed girl is trusting that what we want wants us back. If I believe that what I want does not want me back, I'm going to do so much to convince it that I need to have it and that it also wants to have me. It's like a sales pitch. But I believe that our desires are in our hearts because they're already for us. At some point in the near future, they already belong to us. So, in that belief, there is no part of me that has to chase or try to convince this other person or this external reality that it has to belong to me. It already knows it belongs to me. I know this. I trust that what I want wants me back. And so, for instance, if this is dating, I know that my husband in the near future is not going to have to be convinced that he wants to be with me. Men are biologically wired to already know when they meet the woman that is going to be their wife. They already know who they want for life when they meet her. So I'm not going to have to convince or chase or text or call a man who is not already knowing that I am his wife. Again, if you're anything like how I used to be, I was terribly stuck in anxious attachment. I used to pursue other men who I thought showed a little bit of interest. Because they like me, I must like them too. And that's the scariest part of anxious attachment is you think you don't have a choice, but as women, we have the greatest choice. We get to choose who will be our mate and who will be the best father to our children and shape their minds into being adults in full integrity and making their own decisions. So, who I choose in my life is going to be the biggest and greatest person that's going to accompany me for the rest of it. It is such an honor to date. And in knowing this, in knowing that what I want and who I want wants me too, I get to sit back in my seat. I am in the faith that it is going to happen for me. I don't know when, and that is actually perfect because I have now come to appreciate my singlehood so much. I know that I'm not going to get that back. There will come a day that I will be in partnership and I'm never going to be alone again. And that's going to be beautiful. But at the moment, I'm in a countdown to doing the most that I want to do with the freedom that I now have. If any of these thoughts are really tricky for you to hear, I would love to have a comment from you. If you're suffering with anxious attachment, I know how hard it can be to chase after men who are avoidant attachment also. But it's not only love, it's also friendships, it's also money and opportunities, like we mentioned before, that is going to avoid you and run away from you if you're constantly seeking it. This is a point of weakness. You are strength. As a blessed woman, as a blessed girl, you know that it's all going to come to you because what you want wants you to. I invite you to practice letting things come to you. Like I mentioned in step 2, pausing is really helpful. Even a conversation or some words that are going to come to you without you trying. But in bigger things in life, attempt just being open to what every day has to offer you. Don't consider that to date you have to be on online dating platforms or apps. Maybe you can go to more things that you enjoy. Maybe you can join a fitness club. You're going to enjoy the company of the people whose interests align with yours more than trying to force a date out of somebody. Let it grow naturally. The fourth way to go from invisible to irresistible is to move like a woman who knows she is magnetic. There are so many elements that come into play with this, including the clothes that you wear, the makeup, the hair, but more than anything, it's the way that you feel with that appearance that allows you to move in a graceful and elegant and slow manner. When you have these intentional movements and no frantic energy, you're not stumbling towards opening the door or tripping over yourself or carrying a bunch of bags. Instead, you have your purse, you're walking slowly, decisively, you're not wondering which way you're heading, you're aware of yourself and your situation and the space that you take up, and you own it. You don't second guess yourself, you go along with what you have to say because you have that self trust. Your voice is grounded, you make eye contact, you sit properly in your chair because your posture is right. There's so much to class and elegance that comes along with the appearance of being feminine. But it's truly the energy of a magnetic woman, the energy of a blessed girl that makes you command that presence. People immediately turn to look at your graceful posture and they want to come towards you to meet you because today, this day and age, in this culture, it is so much easier to stand out with a nice dress than it is with different color hair. And number 5, we're going to expect to be chosen and appreciated. Why wouldn't you choose me? You're missing out. Rather than acting differently when someone rejects you, it is so much better to just laugh about the fact that they've missed out on the best trait they've ever experienced. What helped me a lot was realizing how much I had achieved throughout my life. I kept a little proof to be magnetic book where I wrote every single day that I thought of a good thing that I had done, of something that I felt I was successful in. And then I read back through it and I had pages and pages filled with what I had achieved in my life that I had never never counted before. It really helps with that idea of imposter syndrome or thinking that I'm not enough or that I still need to do all these different things to be somewhere or to be someone different. I can be this magnetic woman. I can be this irresistible and blessed girl simply by acknowledging how far I've already come. And celebrating that is not something we do enough. So just write it down in a journal or in your iPhone notes whenever you feel respected, admired, or appreciated, or just happy and joyful, or you received a compliment or even gave one. Write these positive experiences down because they are the things that are going to help you truly believe the new affirmations and the new beliefs that you're walking into the world with. And again, like I said in the first one, when you notice it, that's the key. Then you can change it. So when you notice that you have all of this behind you, the change occurs. That's when it happens. So the more you read this and the more you look for the evidence that you are someone who is already blessed, the easier and the faster you become a blessed woman. As I said, you would receive the real secret to feminine magnetism. You do, in fact, simply have to see how you already are her. Because once you believe that you're worthy, once you start acting in the world in this new way, they will reflect back to you the way that you are being. That's why so many people find it easy and so many others find it so hard, because they're looking for the evidence that what they believe is true, whether they see that or not. The sooner you see it, the faster you can take control of it. If you enjoyed this video, please send it to a friend who you believe needs this. You can also join our free book club, The Heart of the Matter, at the link below, or apply to a Virtue and Vitality call with me at the links below, where I would be more than happy to speak with you, and you only have to pay if you get real value out of it. I'm so excited to meet you. As my grandmother always said, harden at your heart, love and serve each other.